How about a Coppola Quick Facts?
Coppola Quick Facts here. I'll keep it kind of brief because we have a bunch throughout the actual film, surprisingly. But most of them are not associated with like the making of the film. They're more about like, this is what they got wrong in this scene. This is what they got wrong in this scene.
As it should be. I feel like you should be accurate when you're telling the story.
Yeah, you probably should, but whatever. Scenes set on the USS Indianapolis were actually filmed aboard the USS Alabama, which is docked in Mobile Bay in Mobile, Alabama. The same battleship was actually used in the film Under Siege. Oh, remember that film?
Nice.
The only good Steven Seagal movie.
Is it good though?
It was better than everything else.
Yes, okay, touche.
The USS Indianapolis is a Portland-class heavy cruiser. It's portrayed in the film by the USS Alabama, which is a South Dakota-class battleship. And they look nothing alike. Nothing whatsoever.
Jack shit about naval ships, but it did throw me off when they were showing shots of the ship. I was like, I feel like that's not accurate to what the actual ship was.
Yeah,
it's
like the scene with the gold things in the guns,
the plugs in the plug.
Yeah. Never ever do that during wartime.
Yeah,
they only do that when they're docked.
You're not ready to fire. You're sitting duck at that point. Yeah, that part threw me off. And then obviously you could tell that the ship has had modern upgrades because it felt new versus what the ships built in the 40s would have.
There are a lot of period problems with this film.
It really,
but I didn't go into them because it was just like, it's already too fucking long. We're already talking about this movie. We're way goddamn too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, just know that like they didn't really care while they were making the film whether or not it looked right or was even like the truth, that kind of stuff. No attempt is made to make the Alabama look anything like the Indianapolis, which is a completely different type of ship, which is hilarious to me. I looked it up, and the actual Indianapolis was 2 football fields long. About, I think it's like 211 yards long or something like that. It's a very big ship, and I don't think that this ship is even close to that. I think it's quite a bit smaller. But
yeah,
should have James Cameron make this movie. He would have built a scale model of a scale replica 1-to-1 of the Indianapolis and then sunk it.
Most of the sharks attacking the survivors are shown to be great white sharks. But in reality, the majority of these species were oceanic white tips, oceanic black tips, and reef sharks. Despite these species being smaller, they are highly aggressive, extremely fast, and are usually the first to arrive after an accident. I have to assume that they put great whites in just because of Jaws.
Yeah.
Like, that's how fucking lazy the production was on this.
The guy in Jaws talked about sharks, so we got to use a shark from Jaws.
Remember that scene?
Yeah. I added that as a quick fact, but I'll take it out from mine because I was basically, it was pissing me off. Like, nowhere in the entire movie do you see a oceanic white tip.
Yep.
And that's the one that experts all say were the ones that would have eaten because they live out in the deep ocean. They eat anything that shows up. So they're like some of the most dangerous sharks you'll ever see or encounter because they're just basically living in a desert. So they got to eat what they can.
Yep.
In the behind the scenes, they did definitely like really talked about that scene from Jaws, which is amazing. It's an amazing scene. Captivating. Nothing's happening in that. It's just Robert Shaw telling the story. Nothing else is happening in that. And it's so much more
and it was his first take.
Anything.
That was his first take of doing that. Yep. Doing that read.
Shit. Wow. I wish Robert Shaw would have been in more things. Like, I feel like he was a very underutilized, amazing actor. But maybe he was a tyrant off the screen or something. I don't know.
I think there were stories about him like being drunk for most of the filming of that, or at least that scene or other scenes and stuff, and kind of hard to work with, and had to apologize to Spielberg. So yeah, maybe he was just hard to work with and didn't get a lot of work because of it.
Yeah,
just that scene alone should have gotten him an Oscar. I mean, that was incredible. If Alec Baldwin could win an Oscar for his one scene in Glengarry Glen Ross, then Robert Shaw should have won an Oscar for that. 1,196 crewmen were stranded, 879 of whom died in the water from injuries related to the torpedo attack, from sharks, or from exposure. That is a lot of people to die slowly and terribly. It's, insane.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that'll happen when you just let them float around the water for 5 days.
Yeah.
Without sending any help.
Yeah. It was a major blunder from the Navy and the military in general, as we'll see as we talk about all of the different distress calls that were called in that were completely ignored.
Yeah.
There were 317 survivors. I just want to quickly say I want to warn you all that we are going to absolutely eviscerate this film because it is awful. But please know that we don't mean any disrespect to the men who lost their lives on that ship. Those men are absolute legends who died horribly. We only wish that the filmmakers had taken their place.
Yeah. I feel like the film was disrespectful to the family. We're being disrespectful to the people that thought this was okay to put out to the public, because it just shits on those poor guys. I mean, it absolutely misses the mark on that tragic event. And we're gonna tear this shit apart.
What he said. That's perfect. When the wreckage of the USS Indianapolis was discovered, it was actually discovered after this film came out in August of 2017, which was 72 years after it sank. And there were still 19 crew members alive at the time. A lot of those men were like 90 years old, which is crazy to go through something like this and still be around at 90, This is some badass dudes.
Yeah, that's nuts. Holy crap.
Yeah. Within 3 weeks of finding the USS Indianapolis, the Japanese submarine that sank the Indianapolis was also found by a search team. Oh, wow. It had been scuttled in the last days of World War II. I don't know if it was like right next to Indianapolis. They're like,
probably not.
Yeah, that was one of our best victories right there, motherfucker. Let's scuttle this thing right here. Drop it on their heads. I don't know what the thought process was. I don't know if they were found in completely different places or what. But that's
probably. I think it was because they made Japan demilitarized, so they probably just scuttled a bunch of their stuff in whatever harbors they were in.
Yeah, and I would imagine there would have been a naval base somewhere on an island nearby.
I think Tinian is the closest to where they were sunk, because I think they took off that night from Tinian and then were sunk in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't that far away. That's why the planes were able to come and check them out, because the Pacific is humongous.
Yeah.
So finding them would be like a needle in a haystack. Nicolas Cage and Thomas Jane were both married to Patricia Arquette.
Oh, do you think they talked about that?
I
don't think they ever interacted in this film.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
In the water, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
For landing. That scene?
And marrying my ex-wife.
You took her off my hands. Thank you. Cage and Arquette were married from 1995 to 2001, while Jane and Arquette were married from 2006 to 2011. I have to assume it was like, God damn, we both escaped, man. That chick seems crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, so do they, though. So.
Yeah.
She wasn't acting in that scene in Bringing Out the Dead. That was genuine response from her.
She asked me if I wanted to fuck her because everybody else has.
And I said, yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure, why not? Let's get married. You're a real smooth talker. And then the final quick fact, Nicolas Cage's handprints have been enshrined in a reef object placed just off Perdido Pass near Orange Beach, Alabama. The site is called Poseidon's Playground and is a popular dive location. I think it happened during this film. Because they were like, they were out there. They filmed all of the water scenes first.
Yeah.
So that they would bond together. And, with varying results, I guess. But like, because they were out in the water, they were just like, hey, put your handprints in here. I don't know.
I thought you were going to say that they left it at the wreckage of the Indianapolis, and I was going to get pissed off.
I thought so too. I thought that's weird.
This seems disrespectful, but sure. Okay. Nicolas Cage had nothing to do with this shit.